the first question I got, Ty, is you've been at Duke for a minute now. You've been because you're from Brownsburg originally. So what's it like living out? Duke's in North Carolina. Am I crazy?
Yeah, North Carolina.
So how's North Carolina? What's it like being at Duke, and what's the campus like, I guess, out there?
Yeah, so I absolutely love Duke University. If you've ever seen like any pictures, it looks like you're in Harry Potter. Like it looks like there's castles everywhere. It's pretty sweet. But I especially moved down south because the weather's just phenomenal. It's been like every single day in the winter or something like that. It gets a little bit rainy, but the days in the winter are like today, like in Indiana spring or something. So I love it. Of course, the academics were one of the top universities in the world. I think, believe I know for sure top 20, maybe top 10. I know top 5 in the U.S. So I I love it. I'm surrounded by intelligent people. Like I thought I was super smart in high school. I get to college and I'm a dumb jock. But yeah, it's a wonderful experience. I love the student athlete atmosphere. It's great being a student athlete on campus. And it's wonderful. I have nothing bad to say about it.
What's the biggest difference you would say? I mean, besides the weather, what's something that you
Yeah.
got out there that you weren't culturally like ready for that you had to learn about being in North Carolina or being in the South, I guess, a little bit? Was there any
Well,
like weird foods they eat or something crazy they do that you weren't accustomed to, I guess? I mean, it's not
nah, I
Japan or
mean,
anything. It's
their
not from
roads are
Mars.
terrible. I about wreck every single time I'm driving
Yeah.
because they're not straight like ours. They're all
Right.
curvy. It's like you're driving on spaghetti.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I'm I'm pretty white trash. So I get around all these rich people who are complaining about they don't got these $1,000 winter coats, and I'm like, man, my mom just got me a $40 winter coat from J.C. Penney, and I'm super happy.
Right.
So I guess dealing with all these rich people, but
Yeah. What was okay? You just, if I'm not crazy, I just took this off Twitter, I think. You
yeah,
just got back from Germany or went to Germany. You spent some time in Germany for
yeah,
educational
yeah.
purposes, right?
Yeah. So my sophomore year of high school, I actually went on an exchange. So I had a German kid here for about a month or so, and then I went and stayed in Germany for the whole summer. And then actually my senior year, I ended up winning the soccer trivia contest, and I gotta go to Germany and be on German TV. They had me play soccer with these professional athletes, and yeah, that didn't go too well.
Dang.
But yeah, I can only wrestle.
Yeah.
I can't even play basketball or anything, let alone football or soccer. But yeah, I love Germany. I'm fluent in German. So Europe's great. If you guys ever have a chance, even whenever you're older, just go to Europe. It's wonderful. Yeah.
All right. Anybody want to start us off? Any of the kids want a question? Oh, Hayden's got one right away. Hayden Cochran, go ahead, buddy.
What do they speak in German? What do they speak in not Germany?
You forgot.
Forgot your question?
I forget
I'll come back to you. I'm sure they speak German in Germany.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what you're trying to ask. Gavin, go ahead.
How old were you when you first wrestled?
I was 4 years old. I was young for the Avon Wrestling Club, and then I got too good, so I came here.
Yeah. Started out at Avon, then we met him, and then he got over here with he practiced a lot with Trey, the guy you guys met a couple weeks ago, Brock, those guys. He was right around the same age as all them, so he's went through with them. Mikhail, what do you got, bud?
How many weeks did it take you to take down a big guy?
Take down a big guy.
No,
Yeah.
like that was like competitive with you, like that you guys bumped head to head with.
Yeah, so
I mean,
that's a great question. So especially when I was in middle school, there was this guy who I'd always see at the national tournaments, right? I'd always see him, and he'd always, go to overtime with me and end up beating him. I never could beating him. But I would say throughout the course of a whole season, I just kept on, trying to get better, doing what my coaches were telling me, doing the small little things, maybe, doing extra push-ups or sprints after practice. And, you after after a little bit, I was going into overtime and I was getting beat like 5-0, 7-0 before. But then, it started going to overtime. And then, I may have started beating them. And then, maybe I started beating them by, a couple months, at least a whole season. But those people that you butt heads with and that stuff, you'll catch up with them as long as you stay focused and stay on the path.
Who Ty on follow up on that? So who at CWA maybe early on was it Brock? I'm trying to remember. Brock, was that the guy I know you and Trey wrestled a lot, but was Brock the guy that pushed you the most, you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think I may have scored on Brock maybe once. I remember the only time it was at Mooresville, and he had a fever or something like that, and I scored on him once, and that was it. And he ended up puking afterwards. But yeah, he would kick my butt every single day. Every single day he kicked my butt. But I could have gotten down on it, but I was just happy because at Monday Night Lives I'd get my butt kicked, but then I'd go on Saturday and I'd kick everybody else's butt.
How many of you in here have a person at Contenders? Raise your hand. You don't have to tell me, but have a person at Contenders that you feel like you can't beat right now. That's what we're kind of talking about, guys. He's that's the person you need at Contenders. That person that kicks your butt.
Yeah, that's what you need. I mean, even in college at Duke, I have people that I thought I was going to be big man on campus, but I mean, people kick my butt all the time. But it's good because you get to see, instead of pounding someone, toying, maybe doing like leg cradles and stuff on them. You get to see what you actually need to work on. You get to see, like, bottom's a really big thing for me, and I get ridden out all the time. So, it's good to have those guys that are beating up on you.
I got a question about Duke too, and so when you went to Duke, what was the biggest? I know for you, academics was a big portion, but what was the other things that helped you determine that Duke was the right fit with you besides academics?
Yeah, of course. So it was, I'll be honest, I had a lot of choices. I could have gone to any school that I wanted to, just because of my grades alone. I mean, I'm a great wrestler, but my grades really helped. But Duke University, for me, I loved the atmosphere. It was just it's a beautiful place. But secondly, just the wrestling culture that I was around. Duke is really like how Brownsburg was before I went to high school at Brownsburg. We were, we're really up and coming. We get better every single year, but we're underdogs, right? Nobody thinks, oh, what's this super nerdy school over here? They can't be good wrestlers. They actually have to go to class. They don't have, nerds go to their class for them. And so really seeing that we were extremely up and coming and that I can be part of something special really drawing me to there. I believed what the coaches were preaching to me. I mean, I was having Arizona State call me every single night. I was having North Carolina State call me every single night. Coach Papalizio, I was having all these crazy schools call me, but they didn't just stick with me because they're already established. I want to be something, or I want to be part of something where people come out of nowhere and it's like, whoa, where'd Duke come from? Where'd this Ty Mills guy come from? And I'd say we have a pretty small team, around 20 guys or so. I thought that, like I said, I'd have a better opportunity to make a difference on the college scene, being on a smaller team, and that's what I enjoyed.
Nice. Rev, did you have a hand up? No. Okay. Who had a hand up for a question? Jake Hockaday, go ahead.
What was your weight the last year of middle school and then your first year of high school?
Yeah. So my weight, let's see, I was 70 and 75. So 70 for 2 years, 75 for the last 2 years. or actually no, 70 the first year, 75 the last 2 years, and then I ended up getting homeschooled a year before I wrestled in high school. So I would say around my eighth grade year, I was probably around 80 pounds, and that year that I got homeschooled, I ended up gaining 20 pounds or so because I just put on the weights. Like I would lift every single day and stuff. So I ended up weighing around 103 pounds my freshman year of high school. So it's all about that growth spurt, man.
So you were an undersized freshman at 103, 106, sorry.
Yeah.
And then your second, you did 2 years at 106, and then you placed
Yeah.
at what,
120 and 126. Yeah.
120 and 26, yeah.
Mhm.
Gotcha. So he did 2 years at 106. He was an undersized 106 there
Yeah.
that first year. But okay, let's talk about that since you mentioned it. You were
Mhm.
light as a freshman.
Oh yeah.
Not extremely light, but you were a lot lighter than those
Mhm.
guys cutting down from 120 to 106. So
Oh yeah.
I just watched that Bad Cut movie on Flow, just speaking of cutting
Yeah.
weight. But what did you so how did you overcome that? Because you got third as a second. You got second as a freshman.
Yeah, I got second. I was in the finals.
So
Yeah.
you made the finals. How did you overcome being light? Everybody else has 10 pounds on you, especially by
Yeah.
Saturday of state.
Mm.
What was going through your head? Did you ever feel like you were at a disadvantage because you were light, or did you just work past it?
No, actually, I feel like I'm at an advantage. I mean, even in college, I'm a 141 pounder. I probably should be a 33 pounder. I just don't believe in cutting weight anymore. Even whenever I was your guys' age, even younger, my dad always wrestled me a weight class above. I never cut weight anytime in elementary school or middle school. But I'll say, yeah, like I remember I was weighing in for 106, and I had a breakfast before. It was the Friday night, or it was the Saturday night of the state finals. I had a breakfast before, and I could weigh 106. I had breakfast and everything, and I weighed 105. The person I faced in the finals, his name's Colton Cummings. He's at West Point right now. You could weigh up to 110 pounds because it was a weight allowance, and he weighed that like 109.8, and I ended up talking to him after the night after the state finals. He was like 123 pounds, and I was like 103. But to get back on track, I actually felt like I was at an advantage because even though, I might give up 10 pounds in strength or so, I have my conditioning, and I'll out wrestle them. I'll make them gas, and they'll be tired at the end of the third period when I'm fine. I can out wrestle them, and I believe I have better technique, and I believe that I'm quicker than them. So using, you got to think of, being light, not so much as a disadvantage. Yeah, you might be giving up some weight, but you got to think you didn't spend all week cutting. You didn't be spitting in the bottle. You weren't, running with trash bags or anything. You were able to focus on your technique and practice instead of, man, I got to get off 2 pounds this practice or something like that. I'm able to focus on my technique instead of worry about the weight. And thirdly, you're going to feel fresh. You're going to feel fresh whenever you're stepping on that mat. You're not going to be tired from that weight cut.
Awesome. Sean Nolan, go ahead, bud.
So what is your go-to wrestling move?
Yep. So I'll tell you in all three positions. My go-to right now is in neutral. It's I get an elbow pass and I go high crotch all the time. Elbow pass, and I'll try to go high crotch or knee pull single. And then on top, I always go chicken wings, man. I love the chicken wings. Double chicken wings, single wing with a half, anything. I love them. Pennsylvania tilt. Then on bottom, I love hitting a sit out or a switch. But nowadays, since I've gotten to college, I'm more worried about getting up to my feet and getting in neutral. So I'll do I do a lot of stand ups or Granbys right off the whistle.
Thanks. Timmy.
What do you think is the hardest part of wrestling?
The hardest part of wrestling. I mean, this is a great question actually, because I was actually planning to talk a little bit about this if the questions kind of run out, but I believe 100% the hardest part about wrestling is the mental side. In other sports, let's say I played football up until middle school, I could blame, a bad game or something or bad practice on one of my teammates. Oh, I was a QB. So I could blame, getting sacked on the line. In wrestling, shoot, if I get pinned, it's all on me. This year I was a 141 pounder. You probably know him. Mitch McKee. He's from University of Minnesota. I got pinned by him in the first period. I had been pinned more times this year than I ever had in my whole life, just in this season for 141 wrestling. And I can't go like, oh, it's my coach's fault. Oh, it's my teammate's fault. No, that's my fault. And that's something that we all have to overcome. That, yeah, we have to hold ourselves accountable. Let it be, that if we make the weight, if we end up cutting weight and we miss weight, I mean, that's my fault. If we end up losing a match, it's at the end of the day, it's my fault. Now, you could think that that's, like pretty sucky, and it's gonna, it might drive you into a deep depression or something, like it because it sucks to lose. Let's be honest. But I mean, it's cool because not only is it your fault, but it's your decision to make it better. It's my decision to get better from this. It's my decision to learn from my losses. It's my decision to, not get upset about losing, but maybe take, hey, like, okay, I lost this match. I need to get better at finishing my singles, or I need to get better at, standing up and clearing ties or something like that. So wrestling, definitely a lot. If you can figure out the mental side of wrestling, which even I haven't, it's going to take you a long way.
So Ty, on that, we've been talking to him a lot about self-talk, about how to, when some mentally negative thing creeps in, how to get that out. And Brock talked about this a little bit, and I'm curious to have yours. So you went from you were a really good youth wrestler. You won a lot of the ISWA state tournaments, middle school state. You went on to high school. You're 4-time state winner. And then all of a sudden you show up on campus and you're talking about this year getting pinned more than you've ever been pinned in your life. It's just different. You're not the big man on campus. You're getting beat up a little bit. How do you, when you start to have, because that's obviously when you're going to have some doubts, right? Doubts are going to creep in. How do you, is it self-talk? Is it, talking to your coaches? What is it that fixes that for you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I've had a lot of experience with loss. I mean, I never won a state title. I was so close. I was always ranked first, and I always ended up choking. I lost when it counted, and I'll tell you, it really affected me. I really got down on it. But I got to college, and it was a clean slate. But for me personally, I have a lot of negative thoughts, but I counteract that with just, like you said, some self-talk, like not looking at the negative side of, oh yeah, I may have done, some extra stuff after practice, but it wasn't good enough. It's shifting this of being like, yeah, not only did I have a good practice, and not only did I focus during practice, but I got an extra afterwards. I'm set for whatever is thrown against me, looking at the positive things instead of like this negative side of, oh, like I hit a crappy single during that last match, that I should have never done that. Or, being afraid and nervous before a match, saying, oh, well, I don't know, this guy's pretty good. Like maybe I can get a takedown on him. Maybe I can turn him on top. Hopefully I'll get out. I mean, I have those thoughts. But, you got to counteract that. Be like, who cares about who this guy is? I'm me. I'm pretty sick at wrestling. I've trained pretty hard. I go to contenders. I'm pretty sick. You got to shift that and have confidence in yourself. Not let these negative thoughts, not let these, doubts creep into your mind. It's just, you got to shift that into having confidence in yourself and trusting the training that you have done, and trusting the process in which you're doing. And if you're hitting a, end of the road, you're hitting a dead end, it's up to you to change that and, start getting in extra stuff, start doing that things. But yeah, like I said, just really getting in the positives into your thinking instead of thinking about the negative stuff.
It's funny because that's exactly what kind of Brock was talking about, just shifting his thought process and talk. Coach Sean, what do you got, man?
Ty, man, you don't know me. I'm going to hammer you with some tough questions here real quick.
All right.
So I know Coach Lanham. I wrestled for Coach Lanham at Purdue and actually
Awesome.
wrestled
Yeah.
with Whistle. You're talking a lot about that self-talk and believing in it, right?
Mm,
How do you believe that self-talk? So, I mean, we all try to stay positive, right? What
yeah.
do you do when the negativity starts to creep in? How do you really believe that at the end of the day that what you're telling
Mm.
yourself and the work that you're putting in is the right thing to be doing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Especially, I mean, this year, for example, it was a rude awakening for me. I medical redshirted last year. I didn't get a full season, and I come in here and I'm varsity. Just thrown to the wolves, and I mean, I went 0-2 my first tournament, 0-2 my second tournament. I think 0-2 my third tournament. I didn't win a single match until like my fourth tournament, and I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, Ty, what's going on? I've never sucked this bad since I've been 5 years old. But I seriously just held myself accountable. I was expecting to be as good as I was in high school. Kill people, be ranked in the nation in college. But I wasn't doing the things that I needed to be doing. I wasn't getting in the extra stuff. I was cutting corners during practice, cutting corners during lift, and once I couldn't overlook those doubts, and I couldn't what's the word, be positive because I knew I wasn't doing the right things. So once I changed this, and once I looked at myself in the mirror, I was like, you know what, Ty, you got to change stuff. You're not as good as you think you are. You need to change stuff. And I started doing the little things. I started making sure I was lifting on my high crotches and finishing. I was making sure that, on my stand-ups, I was making sure to grab the hand, put it on my back pocket, and cut. I wasn't doing that before. And my fourth tournament, the Wolfpack Open at NC State, I finally started winning matches. I won I think 3 matches or so, and I knew that I had been doing the right things. So I'd say how to overcome the negative thoughts and really actually believe it is, you gotta know in your head that I'm doing the stuff that I'm telling, like, that I need to be doing. I'm actually doing the things, not saying, oh yeah, I ran 5 miles today, but actually, sitting on the couch playing COD. No, go and go and do the things that you actually, set
Yeah.
goals to do. A
Sure.
lot of, yeah. So,
Go ahead.
yeah, so this is great. Coach Lanham says this all the time. He says, okay, in the summer, for example, or let's say I have a goal to be a national champion in the NCAA, Division I national champion. In the season, I'm going to be hammering it. I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be going in extra. I'm going to be, running on Wednesdays, doing all this stuff. But in the summer, once the season's over, I back up and I maybe start practicing 2 times a week or something like that. And, my goal hasn't changed. I still want to be a national champion. So why is my training changed? If you have these high goals and these high aspirations, to be good, to be a state champ, to be, a USAW national champ, you got to keep these same goals no matter what you're doing. You got to keep pounding it, because eventually it's going to pay off. And you got to keep that in mind that, I'm working my butt off. I'm doing all this stuff. Maybe there's someone else working harder than me, but I'm working as hard as I possibly can. And, at the end of the day, it's going to pay off.
Okay, so since you've been doing the little things correctly,
Yeah.
have you had the success that you're looking for?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was thrown to the wolves, but I started winning the matches I should have. I went to, I think, 3 more tournaments, and I ended up getting picking up a couple more matches. And,
Okay.
it was
So
awesome. Yeah.
Follow-up question on that is this,
Mhm.
and a lot of these guys might not know this yet, but you're doing all the right things. What are you doing to prepare yourself for the next setback, right? So what
Yeah.
are you going to do when you're doing all the right things and
Mhm.
you're preparing to be an All-American or national champ, and then you go out and you have a tough match, someone catches your wrist, right? You give up a couple tilts, you take that loss. What are you doing in that moment where you have a setback?
Yeah, of course. This is a great example. I was wrestling a guy from it was in Virginia, but I was wrestling, I think, Yeah, a guy from University of Pennsylvania who's ranked 15th in the nation, and I'm a no name right now, and it's after the first period, it's a 1 point match, and I'm on bottom, and I end up getting turned, and in college, that's 4 points, so now it's a 5 point match, and I mean ultimately I ended up losing the match, but I had a setback. I was like, man, I gotta stay focused because especially me, like if I get taken down first or something like that, I freak out. I'm like, oh man, my match is, it's done for. Like I'm losing the match, but I know the matches that I've been down, and the matches that I've been down, and I end up winning. It's staying focused. I know Jason Nolf, one of the greatest college wrestlers of all time. You see him get taken down, he just shrugs it off. He hits all these crazy funky moves, just shrugs it off. And I watched an interview with him, and he's like, "Yeah, if I get scored on, that's fine. I'm okay. How am I going to get up? I'm focusing on how am I going to score next. Not worrying about the past. Not worrying about, oh man, I just got taken down and turned to my back. Now I'm down 6-0. It's more about shifting it of, okay, fine. How am I going to get up? I still got 6 minutes left in the match. I can still win. How am I going to score this next point? And so that's,
Memory,
yeah,
right?
especially during these close matches when you get taken down or you get reversed on or turned to your back. It's all about, okay, how am I going to score next? Who cares what the score is? How am I going to score next?
Okay, last question for a little bit at least is you went from being a high level guy in high school, right, to college where you're a nobody, and you have to kind of work hard to get back to that point. What is it going to be like for these guys? Because we have a lot of good kids, right? And then they're
Yeah.
getting ready to go into high school. They're going to be that small fish again. So talk to them about
Mhm.
that process a little bit.
Yeah, so it's a it's a hard thing to come over. I'm a big guy in high school. I'm the greatest Indiana wrestler that never won a state championship. I beat the number one guy in the nation my last high school match. I'm big stuff, and then I come to college and I'm getting pinned every. One of my first live matches in practice, I got beat like 31-2. It was ridiculous. And how do you deal with that? I mean, I'm still battling with this battle, and it's something you all will definitely if maybe in high school, maybe if you guys decide to wrestle in college, maybe in college, but it's you have to take things into perspective. Like me and my dad, it was I had one of the worst tournaments of my life, and me and my dad are sitting in a hotel afterwards because I'm a mess. I'm a mess. I'm like, I suck. I just need to quit wrestling. I need to do all this. Like wrestling is just not for me. And he told me, he's like, dude, you got to look at this. You're a varsity wrestler. Even you can see this in high school too. You're a varsity wrestler. You're a freshman and all this. It's equivalent. Like I'm 21 years old at the time. I was 20. I was wrestling, 24-year-olds, 26-year-olds. He's like, it's equivalent of an 8th grader wrestling a senior in high school, but this senior is like nationally ranked. Like you're gonna take some lickings. Like you're gonna absolutely take some losses and take some on the chin, but it's just the tiny battles. As a freshman in high school, you might wrestle a senior and you might get your butt kicked, but you got to look at the match and see the tiny wins that you got. Literally in my season this year, my goal was to at least score 1 point. Like 1 point. I didn't care if I was going to win. I didn't care about wins and losses. I just want to score 1 point. And that's what you got to do, especially going into high school or going to the next level. Who cares about wins and losses? Because once you're the big man, once you're like redshirt senior in college, I'm 26-year-old. I might have a wife and kids, and I'm wrestling some puny, 20-year-old, 18-year-old maybe. I'm going to be pounding them. But that's because whenever I'm younger, whenever I'm that redshirt freshman, whenever I'm that sophomore, whenever I'm that freshman in high school, 106-pounder, I'm worrying about, okay, this match, I'm going to finish one single leg. This match, I'm going to escape, or I'm going to get a reversal. I'm going to get a good setup. You don't even have to score, right? I mean, my goals this season in my matches were to finish a shot, to get one escape, and not get ridden out, So it's really, you got to focus on the small battles. Okay, we all want to be a state champ. I want to be a national champ. We want all these big old things, but in order to get to that mountain, right? You have to climb up and accomplish this small goal. So like, okay, I'm at bottom right now. I need to get an escape. Okay, I escaped that match. I'm going up a little bit. All right, I got a takedown. I finished my single leg. I'm going up. And you build and build and build and build, and finally, you're at that level. You're a national champ. So
We were talking, it kind of goes back into what we were talking about Friday about simplifying. We were trying to teach the kids about simplifying moments, simplifying positions, not necessarily thinking about a win or a
Yeah.
loss or this kid's ranked or
Mhm.
this, but I got his leg. How do I, how to simplify
Yeah,
it? He shoots,
exactly.
what do I do? So that's good. Who's next? I saw a bunch of hands. Give me another one. Who's got one? Landon, go ahead. Landon Cooks.
What do you do to get ready for a match?
Oh, yeah, this is perfect.
Mhm.
So I'm super, I hate to say this, I'm superstitious. I I gotta if I don't tie my shoes the right way, I'm gonna lose this match. If I don't eat the same things, if I don't do the same things, I'm gonna lose this match. But I realized it none of that superstition stuff like matters. I'm gonna get ready however I want to, and that's gonna be the end of it. I gotta make sure that I'm ready. But I'll just say I do a warm up. I like to stretch. I like to stretch, jog, get a couple cartwheels, forward rolls in. Then I do at least a match of shadow wrestling. So I'll shadow wrestle. I like to get at least like 30 shots, 30 sprawls in neutral, then like 30 escapes on bottom, and then I'll usually get a partner and I'll do like 10 actual shots, 10 actual escapes, 10 actual turns, and then I might wrestle like a match of live, and then I'll do sprints at the end. But that's what gets me ready. I used to do this funky, like I had to have this whole ritual thing of, I'd put my straps up under my shirt, do all this stuff. I'd pace back and forth. I'm picking up my fingers right now because I'm nervous, but
Mhm.
I'd pick, if my fingers weren't picked before my matches, I'd lose it. But, we all have these superstitious stuff. But do what's going to make you wrestle the best. I especially nowadays I'm doing like, a lot of mental prep, a lot of, what, Ty, you got an extra lift in, you got an extra practice in this week. Who cares if you win or lose this match? You're prepared. A lot of that talking about, going back, that positive thought. I think no matter what you do to prepare for a match, the most important thing is positive thinking. Getting yourself prepared for the match and getting yourself pumped up for it, being like, yeah, man, I did all this stuff before the match in practice. Maybe I ran extra, I did these things, and now I'm ready for this match. I'm ready for whatever it brings me.
Ty, I'm going to follow up on Landon's
Yeah.
question a little bit. These guys get a little bit of an advantage because most of the time they're doing a fax weigh-in or a weigh-in the night before or whatever.
Yeah.
Eventually you get to high school, you got to weigh in, you get about an hour before you get on the from scale to match, maybe a little longer, but in general, an hour before the tournament starts. What is your
Yeah, of course.
meal between then? What do you eat after you get off the scale before you go wrestle?
Yeah, that's perfect. So, even I'll say this, like my sophomore year of high school, I was 126 pounds, cutting down to 106. It was awful. But, after weighing in, I just downed myself with food. It was amazing. But then I get to the wrestling match and I could feel all the Lunchables and Gatorade slosh around in my stomach. I ended up puking during or after the match. It was awful. But I'll say my meal, which I've had a lot of success with. We actually have. It's great about college. I have a personal nutritionist who, I actually sat down with, and I got not only a weekly thing that I eat every single day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but before match prep. And what I like to do is I'll get I like melons, so like watermelon, cantaloupe. What's good about that is it has a lot of electrolytes and it's not going to like fill up your stomach. You'll feel good afterwards. So I get in some melons. I like bananas and peanut butter because the peanut butter has protein in it. The banana has carbs, so it'll energize you. A lot of it, you want to get a lot of carbs in before. So I do banana and peanut butter, like make it like a little thin bagel sandwich. I do that. put some honey on it. It's really good. Then I get some pretzels. Then I do a little bit of Gatorade. But the big thing is when after you're weighing in, you don't want to chug stuff as much, dude. I know, like after weigh-ins, you just want to chug that 64-ounce thing of Gatorade or something. But I'm serious. Like taking small sips is ideal, because not only are you slowly getting it through your body and your body's just not like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, what's all this stuff? It's going to take it in slowly. And whenever you're chugging stuff, you're sucking in air. You're sucking in air through your throat. And so you'll start belching and doing all this stuff, and you'll feel all bloated. But if you weigh in and just like moderately, I like drinking just like, a sip at a time. I'll sip it, sip some water, then like sit for a second, sip some water, sit for a second. If you take in water like that or any liquids, that's perfect. So not only is it what you're eating, it's also how you're eating it, not
Yeah,
like you got to pace yourself. Yeah.
I was a big peanut butter bagel and banana guy, like you were talking about. That was what, and
Yeah.
I don't remember who told me that was I didn't have a dietitian, but that was what we were eating. So,
Yeah.
Timmy, you look like you had your hand up. Did you have one?
When you wrestle, what's one thing you think you could get better at?
Yeah, of course. Well, first off, like I've said before, I definitely need to get better at my mentality. I'm a very, very negative person, and like I've been training wrestling my whole life. I've got great technique, but one thing I lack at is being good mentally. I struggle a lot with that, but I would say I'll say mental side. Yeah, I need to work on positive thoughts. Not chopping myself down per se, but as far as technique wise I'll say I need to work on wrestling the whole match. I'll go all out the first and second period, but then I just suck. Like I completely turn it back, especially in high school. Like if I was wrestling a decent kid, I'd get up like 12-0, and it's the third period and I can't tech him. And I still deal with it today. It's like I'll be up like, let's say 1-2. I took the kid down and in neutral, I wrote him out. Then he escapes and we wrestle the rest of the match neutral. And then it's my choice third period. I'll pick bottom and I'll just stall the whole match, or I'll stall the whole rest of the period instead of working to, get an escape and maybe take him down, because then that's a 5-1 match instead of, 2-1. So I would say a lot of it is I need to, I'm satisfied with winning right here, but I need to start winning right here, winning right there, opening the gap at the end of the matches.
Sorry, I was muted. Can you give us a in-season day? What's your day like? What time are you waking up?
Yeah.
How many workouts?
Yeah.
What practice like? All that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we train pretty hard at Duke. So I wake up every single morning, 7:35. That gives me enough time to get out of bed and go straight through the door and get my stuff on and go to practice. So I wake up, go straight to practice. It's usually either an hour, 15 minutes. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have a wrestling practice in the morning, and Tuesday, Thursdays, I have a lifting session in the mornings. So that's what I'll do. So in the mornings, I'll have either practice or lift. Then I'll go straight to class. So I study political science and history. So I'll go to a class about, I don't know, I had one about terrorism or one about, ancient Greece or something like that. So I'll go to class. And then usually I'll have about an hour or so. I'll get some luncheon. I usually, eat like a vegetable with like beans and rice and tomatoes and guacamole. And then sometimes, occasionally, like 2 times a week, I'll get an individual practice in with one of my coaches. So I'll do an hour practice where it's just focusing exactly on what I need to do. It's no live, just straight technique. So I'll go to practice in the morning or practice at night, and it'll be, super hard drilling, conditioning, and stuff like that. where we're not really focused. It's focusing on like, getting conditioned, like working hard. But then in the middle of the day around noon or so, I go in and get with my coaches, and I practice just on the little things. Like I worked one practice exclusively on breaking a tight waist from my stomach. So I'd always get tight waist on my stomach, and I worked a whole hour just getting out from there, or another whole hour on finishing my high crotch. Like I had to do 150 lifting, like lifting someone from a shot.
Right.
Then after the individual, I'll usually get a little bit of a fuel snack, because that's just how my that's my diet plan. So I'll get like a chocolate milk or some nuts or something, and then I'll go straight to another class, which is the same thing, history oriented or something. And then at the end of the day, at 4:45, I have either a practice or a lift. So whatever it was in the morning, it's the opposite of that. And then I go get dinner. I do some homework, maybe watch some TV, play some video games, hang out with friends, and then I go to bed. Rinse
Right
and
on.
repeat every single day. Yeah.
So you're in a week, you're doing a lift and a wrestling practice pretty much every day, and then you're getting 2 extra
Yeah.
private lessons. So
Yep.
right on. Awesome. All right, Hayden Cochran, did you get that question? Are you ready now? Go ahead, buddy.
What's your favorite part about wrestling in college?
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful. I got a lot of things that I love about wrestling in college. You guys absolutely got to wrestle in college. I mean, it's amazing. Firstly, that grind. I love grinding. At times it's rough. I mean, there's sometimes I can't even walk up the stairs because I'm so sore because of a practice or something. But it's fun. Like knowing that you're able to compete and do something that, like, you're a modern day gladiator, right? If we lived in ancient Greece, we'd be the gladiators. We'd be fighting lions and stuff. So it's awesome to be able to go out and compete, especially be on TV. Like I'm on TV and stuff, and it's crazy, and everything, to just be able to go out and compete, whether you win or lose. Just I can compete, and nobody else that isn't an athlete or isn't a wrestler can. Um, Also, just being a student athlete in college is amazing. I get so many perks. Like I get a free tutors. I get free clothes. Like, look, I got a Duke wrestling shirt on. All of the clothes that I have, I've gotten for free. Like I don't need to buy clothes anymore. I had to give away a bunch of clothes because they just give me stuff like shoes and headgear and singlets and compression shorts and all this, and socks. I don't need to buy underwear and socks ever because they give it to me. They do my laundry. It's awesome being a college athlete, man. So just yeah, like you guys are wrestling. We sometimes we hate wrestling because we're losing. We had a tough match, but I mean, at the end of the day, you still come to practice. There's something that brings you to come back to wrestle, and whatever that is for you, that continues in college. I love it. You gotta be a creature of the sport. You gotta be a fanatic about wrestling, because wrestling in college is tough. But I mean, it's wonderful wrestling in college. I have no regrets.
Coach Sean always talked about the Gatorade fountain in the Purdue.
Yeah, the
locker room.
Gatorade fountain. Yep.
One of the
That was
main
a big
reasons he
deal,
went to Purdue.
Coach. I mean, that was
Yeah.
a big deal for me. I walked in because I always cut the weight, and then I saw a Gatorade fountain, and I was like, unlimited Gatorade, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. And then, like you talked about, you get all the gear and everything else for free.
Yeah.
Word of advice: hang on to all your wrestling shoes, right? They'll be worth money down the road.
Oh yeah.
Because I got rid of a lot of mine. But here's the question: what did talk to these kids a little bit about the recruiting process? What did that look
Oh,
like?
absolutely. Yeah. It's stressful. I mean, my junior and senior year, every single night, every single weeknight, before and after practice, I was on the phone with coaches all over the country. I had to, I couldn't be liking things on Twitter and Instagram that had curse words, because coaches could see that. And I mean, seriously, they do look at that stuff. I had plenty of coaches be like, dude, your social media looks great. I see so many kids that he's a great wrestler, but he cusses all the time. He posts video of him smoking weed on Instagram. Like that just ruins your image for any college coach. But I'll tell you what. So your junior year, coaches can start talking to you. And so I would get phone calls. I would get letters and stuff. It was great. One of the first schools I talked to was Army West Point, which was really cool because I could have been in the Army and stuff like that. My parents would have hated it, um, but you know, they were sending me handwritten letters and everything. They were calling me and stuff, and it was wonderful. The recruiting process is great, but it does get stressful your senior year when it's time to make a choice, when it's time to, you know, go on those official visits and actually see where you're going to be spending the rest of your college days, or actually set you up for your future. Because I mean, I could have gone anywhere. I chose what I think was going to be best for my future. Like I said, I had a lot of choices. I could have gone to Brown, Princeton, Arizona State, Northwestern, of course Duke, NC State was always calling me. All of these schools, I had a laundry list of schools that were contacting me, and having to juggle, you know, the pros and cons of all of those. It got stressful, but you know, at the end of the day, it was great. I got assigned to Duke University. I absolutely love it here. I have no regrets. But yeah, it's the recruiting process, even if it's small schools. I mean, you get to go on official visits. They pay for all your food. I remember I was at Brown, which is an Ivy League school in Rhode Island, and they took me to this pizza place, and I swear by it, the best pizza I've ever had. I ate two whole pizzas, and I never eat that. I ate 2 whole pizzas, and they're like, "All right, it's time for practice," and I'm like, "Ah, great." But I mean, I got to stay in the dorms with all these cool wrestlers when I'm, you know, just a sophomore in high school, and they fed me, and you know, I got to wrestle with college athletes. It was awesome. So yeah, the recruiting process is fun. It does get stressful though, but it's so fun.
Guys, I want to piggyback off what Ty just said, because he glazed over some things there that I want to point out to you. You know, the pizza's fun and where you get to go, but Ty just mentioned schools like Brown and Duke and Princeton and Northwestern. These are schools, guys, that these are high-level academic schools, and the reason Ty was getting recruited to these schools, as well as being a good wrestler, you can't get recruited to those schools just by being a good wrestler, though. He was a high academic kid with good social media, which matters today. Those things matter. I know a lot of you are on TikTok right now and stuff like that, and you guys are kids now, but you know what you're posting on your TikTok might come back to bite you. Okay, make sure you're keeping that stuff clean. You're not doing that, and most importantly, Ty had a lot of options that I can tell you that other kids that I've gone through the recruiting process with through Contenders, that they might not have as many options as Ty, because of grades. So that they have to think about academically. They're not getting a call from Princeton or Brown or, you know, Duke, because their grades just don't line up. So take that into account. As much as Ty is a great wrestler, a lot of his recruiting process was helped along by his academics. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a great point. I'll follow up on this. I like to have this analogy, especially when I was in the recruiting process. You know, you have 2 wrestlers right here. They're equally as good. They're all 4-time state champions, whatever. They have the same academics, but one has, you know, a 2.0 and the other one has a 4.0. As a coach, you're going to pick the one with 4.0 because not only is he just as good of a wrestler, but he's going to boost your team GPA, and then you'll get more money, you make your school look better and all that stuff. Grades are so important. I mean, I'm a nerd. Yeah. I love studying. I hate math though. But I love all this stuff. But it's so important. And trust me, I was super lazy in high school. I was extremely lazy. And maybe for some of you, it might not be that hard, or it might be a little bit harder, but it doesn't take a lot to do good in school. It's just, you know, you could be mediocre and you know, maybe not have the opportunities to get into other schools. Or you can just do a little bit extra. It's the same thing with wrestling, you know, a little bit extra before and after practice does a lot of things. So, it's the same thing in school, studying maybe a little bit extra for a test, studying, making sure you know your vocabulary or anything, checking your homework. I mean, this was kind of like whenever I was in elementary school, my dad checked my math homework. If I got any question wrong, I had to do 10 push-ups. I mean, if you want to do stuff like that to make studying fun, do it. Well, maybe it's not that fun, but yeah, grades, like I said, just super important. And along the lines of just the image, I mean, shoot, I see funny stuff on social media that's probably not the best for like to be posted and stuff like that. But I can consume this stuff on TikTok or on Twitter or on Instagram. I can laugh at all this stuff, but there's a difference between seeing it and laughing at it and then posting it online, because I'm telling you, like, as soon as you post anything online that's even questionable, coaches are gonna see that, and they're gonna, like I said, there was plenty of coaches that just weren't even interested in other guys because their social media just was awful, and they're like, yeah, I don't want that on my team, so it's extremely important.
You're muted, Coach.
Sorry, I did that again. I think a lot of you young guys, some of you are middle school age getting into high school, and I hope you're taking this in because you little guys may or not understand this. But even like all the coronavirus stuff, guys, I'll give you a personal example. Like I have a lot of opinions on certain things that are going on right now in the world, but you'll never see that posted on my Facebook because I own a business, and my political views and my personal views are all that. I never want that to factor into my business. And that's the same thing with college. College coaches are going to look at your social media. It is part of it. It's part of the day and age. And if they see stuff, I saw somebody get drafted the other day, and they got drafted in the NFL, and they were talking about a post he had on social media 10 years before that. You know what I mean? Like, this stuff matters. You got to keep that stuff clean. So take that into account when you're getting ready to hit share. Go ahead, Sean.
It's this important, okay? Like, I'm glad that Ty brought up social media in the sense that when you get to college, if you're fortunate enough to compete as an athlete in college, you will go to workshops on social media.
Yeah.
You will have compliance officers will sit down with you and say, no, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, right? I mean, you guys are extremely blessed to have someone like Ty come on and talk to you about not only the recruiting process and the academics and how it's important, but also social media, right? I was blessed in the sense that when I went to college, Facebook came out 1 year into me being in college, right? Because I'm old, right? But I didn't have to worry about that, okay? But I did have to worry about that once it came out. So Facebook was brand new, right? I know everyone's like, Facebook's for old people. Well, hashtag I'm old, okay? But at the same time, I had to go to all these workshops on what do you post, what don't you post. And just like Coach Ryan talked about, he doesn't post things because he knows it impacts his business. I'm the same way. I pass stuff on a daily basis that I'm crying, I'm laughing so hard. I'm never going to share that because there might be someone that's offended by that, right? Can you say the same?
Yeah, I think, guys, this is important stuff, so keep this in mind. This is good stuff. Ryder, you've had your hand up for a long time, buddy. Go ahead. What do you got? I can't unmute you, though, Ryder. Go ahead.
After college, what are you gonna do with wrestling?
Yeah, so I'm hopefully going to be a lawyer. But wrestling's always going to hold something in my heart. So I'd love to get involved with clubs like what Coach Ryan does, something like that. I love giving back to you guys. It's so fun to be getting in the room and showing technique and wrestling around and stuff. I love that. So I'm planning on continuing on doing that. I may or may not compete. We'll just see. But ideally, I'd go to Germany, get my dual citizenship, and go to the Olympics. But we'll see about that.
Toon, you got a question, buddy? Go ahead.
What helped you most when you were at our age wrestling?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, like I said, you're from I don't know, I think second grade all the way up until high school. Really, I was a contender. I was an OG contender. Well, not the OG, but I was one of them. not in the, so what really helped me was just believe in what my coaches were teaching. Like even today, I never thought that, finishing my single leg, my coaches told me how important it was, but I was like, man, they don't know what they're talking about. And I'm eating the consequences of it today because, I never worked on finishing my shots. I never worked on stand-ups. I was always a switch guy. But now whenever in college, I have to pick up the slack and I have to, figure out these things. So really listening to what your coaches say. And I mean, Coach Ryan may make you run a bunch of sprints and stuff, and he might yell at you or something like that, or he might make you redo a move. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's for a reason. He has your best interest in you. I mean, he created me. I may not be the best, but I'm still a college wrestler. I believed in what he was doing, and I believed in all the technique that he was showing me. And at the end of the day, I look back and I'm thankful that I whenever I was your guys' age, I was listening to all the technique, and I was, paying attention whenever Coach Ryan was showing drills or something. Paying attention is huge, and actually, actively like going through a practice and saying, okay, what do I need to fix? Not just going through the motions like, oh, I'm going to get through this practice, but having a goal in mind during practice, be like, okay, I'm actually going to pay attention this practice.
Do you remember me having a whole long conversation with you about having your arms extended flat on your stomach on your single leg?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I remember.
Awful.
Call
Absolutely.
that Ty Mills position all the time.
Yep.
Trayvon.
Nobody will break my grip though.
Trayvon, go ahead.
Okay, so wrestling wise, what are you doing right now to stay active?
Great question.
Yeah, of course. Perfect. So what I've got a list of stuff that I'm doing. My lifting coach has a bunch of stuff. Unfortunately, I don't have any of my wrestling stuff here, so I can't get on the mat. But I'm making sure I'm getting my cardio in, whether that's being on the treadmill or going out. I like the treadmill, but you can go out for a jog. I got some weights at home, and I've been doing the program that my lifting coaches have told me to. But just honestly, anything active is going to be helping you even in times like this. But not only the active stuff. I mean, if you want to be a lazy potato, that's all you. You can still get better at wrestling by watching film or mentally prepping yourself, being like going through the mental training of being able to what am I going to do during a match? How am I looking back at last season and saying, okay, what did I do right and what did I do wrong? Those are things you can do sleeping in bed, watching YouTube in bed. You can be thinking about, how am I going to fix the bad mistakes I did last year, the mental stuff. So I would say, especially for me, I'm working more on my mental side because that's the biggest thing I need to work on. So I'm doing all the stuff I can to help myself mentally while we're staying at home.
Guys, I don't want to keep Ty all night. We got a couple more questions here. Marky, you got a question? Go ahead, Marky.
What do you normally do what normal lifts do you do in the gym?
Yeah. Well, my leg, I got chicken legs, so I could definitely not squats. No, I'm just kidding. But I do a lot of bench press. We focus on bench press, we focus on squats, and this is you guys don't need to be doing this, but I do a lot of cleans, like Olympic lifts that you see in the Olympics. I do a lot of that stuff. Really, for your guys' age, especially bench press, stuff that gets you explosive, like that explosive motion. I like to do some squat, lunges. You guys know what lunges are, right? And I'll hold some dumbbells, and whenever I go up out of the lunge, I explode, like I'm exploding out of a shot. I'll go down slow, explode up high. Just I would say, especially, I like to focus on things that are explosive for wrestling. So there's a lift called a hang clean or a clean, and it's all about explosiveness. And especially for wrestling, that's important. So a lot of squats, a lot of bench press, lunges. Let's see, curls for the girls, of course. A lot of pull-ups, a lot of stuff to help my lats, like pull-ups, anything like that. Military press. Those are all great things you can be doing.
Okay, I'm gonna pick one or two more people. Who's got one? Kendall Mo, go ahead, girl.
What's one of the best what is the best advice you've been given?
Yeah, best advice I've been given. It's of course been through my dad. My dad's been a great mentor towards me, especially. I mean, he was a terrible wrestler in high school, but he just has something about him that's really, really mentally strong, and I really admire him about that. But it's like he said, especially I could say this is a recurring talk, but what comes to mind first was when I was a wreck. I was a wreck after one of these tournaments this year. Actually, I was, crying and all this stuff because I was getting pinned. I was getting pinned in tech the whole time. It was awful, and I was like, what am I doing? And he really told me, it's all about these small battles. That's the best advice I've ever really been given is, these small battles. You got to win those. It doesn't matter about winning or losing. It all matters about, winning those small battles, making sure, during a match I'm, getting to my feet on bottom, or I am, actually moving them and setting it up before I try to take a shot, or, I'm faking more, or I'm finishing the whole match. Like I said, like this year, my whole goal was to score 1 point, just 1 point. Didn't matter. I didn't care about winning or losing. I just wanted to score 1 point. And that's what you guys got to do is just focus on these small things, because the winning will come. The winning will come once you guys, focus on the small things.
Yeah.
And over
like
time,
just-
it might not come immediately. I mean, I'm a very impatient person, and it sucks sometimes because I know like these things take time, and I want to get better right now and stuff like that. But you just got to believe in the small things, believe in your coaches, do the small things, like if it's when you're doing sprints, touching the wall whenever you're going, not doing the kick, not kicking up, touching the wall. Or whenever you're doing push-ups, instead of doing the half ones, instead of crossing your legs, making it easy, actually touching your chin and making sure you're using good technique. It's all about the small things. And I believe once you start doing the small things, once you buy into making sure you're doing everything 100% correct, or just, not worrying about winning or losing or how good you're doing, that's what's going to happen. You're going to start, being successful.
Guys, I think one of the things that, if I could kind of summarize, guys talked about this a lot. There's you guys a lot of times, I think at your age, and I'm guilty of this, coaches are guilty of this, we're all guilty of this in the world. You'd like to think you're doing things right all the time, or you're working as hard as you can all the time. I'm working as hard as I can. I know I am. But then when you really sit down, think about it, were you, right? Were you actually running every sprint hard? Gavin Kemp, leave your phone on mute, please. You drive me crazy. But are you really doing the little things? Okay. The little things that make you better. Are you really, like he said, instead of kicking off the wall, we don't do a lot of running that way, but instead of kicking off the wall, are you touching with your hand? Are you running all the way to the tape line? Or are you cutting it short? Things like that are going to make a big difference. So, everybody got me. So, moving forward, a couple things I want to point out that is different about Ty, and I just want to, first off, Ty, thank you for coming on. But guys, you can go
absolutely.
a long way academically. Okay, Ty's gonna be a lawyer someday, and one day wrestling's gonna end for everybody, and he's gonna be a lawyer, and all that stuff. So you guys have an opportunity to go a lot of places, not just in wrestling, also with your academics. Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep that stuff's important. Academics and your grades, guys, your grades may not be a factor in where you go to college, but I will tell you that your grades can absolutely limit where you can go to college. It may not be the only factor, but bad grades could limit where you can go. And I've seen that. I've seen it with two guys that, Ty's age. One Ty had a lot of options. Other people I've coached that their options got severely limited because of their grades. So great wrestling, doesn't always necessarily lead you to the school you want. If your social media is bad, if your grades are bad, if you're not doing the small things, you're not going to get there. Ty, again, thank you, man. It was awesome. Coach Sean, you got any questions before we cut out of here?
No, the only thing I'll say is, guys, Ty came on, and he's the second, third, fourth person in a row that's confirmed the stuff we're telling you, right? Don't just listen to what Coach Ryan says, what I say. These guys are coming on. They're college athletes, right? They're telling you, all right, exactly what we're saying. And trust me, Ty, did we talk to you before this happened? Did we tell you what to say? No.
Nope.
No, he's just telling you guys what it is, right? And Ty, by the way, Coach Lanham says great job. All right.
Awesome.
Glad to hear that you're out there, promoting Duke in the right way. So well done. Well done.
Guys, I know Coach Sean and I, we are what we are as your coaches, but we're trying to steer you in the right direction with this stuff, okay? And I think you'll notice Trey and Brock and Ty, and if we had Ace on, if we had somebody else on, they would all kind of tell you they went through the same process to get where they're at. And I think that's why we are successful, and we're going to lead you guys in that same process, and you're going to make of it what you will, right? I'm going to tell you to do the little things, but are you doing the little things? Ty just told you, do the small things right. You're going to make yourself better. Are you doing the challenges? Because, I've seen these challenges, and over the last couple of weeks, I see some of you do every one. Some of you, I saw a couple. Some of you, I don't see any, right? You hear me say them, but are you really doing them? So having said that, I do owe you guys a TikTok, and I promise I'm going to get to it. Last couple things before I let Ty off here. Guys, as far as getting back to wrestling, I was hopeful it was going to be May 1st. I haven't heard one way or the other. The governor has not really made a decision. I did see, however, that Ohio did not open gyms May 1st, and we have followed Ohio to a T to this point. He held that off till May 14th. So my plan, let me give you my plan, is to start back Monday, a week from today, practicing if we can. It'll be small groups. It won't be what you're used to. It won't be like live night, but we'll be doing some sort of practice next Monday. However, I'm a little less confident that the governor's going to go that way, so we may or may not do that. I don't want to start getting everybody's hopes up and then that not happen. I'm going to wait for the governor to make a decision before I put anything out. I do think sometime in May we'll be able to have practice, okay? I am confident that that's going to happen, but whether it'll be early in May or kind of middle of May, late May, I do not know. So we will get back to small groups as quick as we can. Keep doing what you're doing. Ty, again, I have a challenge for you already figured out. It's going to be a lunge like Ty was talking about and then exploding up. I'll video that, and then we'll get you guys going on that for tomorrow. And then Wednesday we have Coach Matt's workout. But before we go, Ty, again, thank you, man. That was awesome. Everybody can give me Ty a thank you.
Thanks, guys. I love it. Thank you.
Ty, thanks again, man. Anytime you're in town, you're welcome when we get back wrestling. Are you home now? Yeah, so I might have you come in and, one of these small groups or something, roll around with these guys. But, guys, if I ever have a camp and Ty's there, as much as I love Brock, I love Ace, I think Ty's one of the best clinicians we have every time. And so get in there and meet Ty. He does a great job with clinician stuff, the clinics that we do. So that's all I got. Tomorrow we'll have a lunch challenge. Wednesday we're back for the workout. Ty, thanks again. Guys, we will see you for your challenge tomorrow, and we'll see you back on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Hey, see you guys.
Bye. See you, Ty.
Bye, guys.
Bye.